Broadcasting from Hollywood, California, it's Grant's Rants, Hollywood Talk.
Fallout from the college cheating scandal takes over the media, but why don't I care? Tyler Perry is quoted on New York Housewives, and Britney gets a musical. Plus, YouTube stars Art and Ashton are here to talk about their strategy behind making viral videos and how you can avoid being scammed over the phone. That and more starting right now. Let the ranting begin. I am joined by Ashton and Art of Trilogy Media. You can find them over on YouTube, a comedic duo busting scams, having some fun, answering those robocalls that nobody wants, but these guys are looking for them, and here they are on the Rants. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
That's
And
awesome.
like I usually say, good evening, America.
Well, I love having you here because this is going to be different for the show. You guys are really going to have a different perspective, and we're still going to talk about, the nonsense that people want to hear, but we're going to get a different point of view. And we're going to learn some stuff, too, at the end, towards the end of the show. So stick with us through the whole thing because I'm really looking forward to this one. These guys are familiar with scams. I really didn't want to talk about this, but this college cheating scandal. Now, look, I'm not really that interested in this at all. When I saw it on CNN on Monday, I looked at it and said, I'm not interested at all. It just doesn't resonate with me. But it's not Trump. It's not politics. It's not Me Too. There's no molestation storyline. Right. It's a celebrity scandal, so I should be into it. But I'm just not that gripped. Where do you guys stand on this? What do you think of the celebrity college scandal?
I was kind of more personally affected because I worked with Lori. I don't know if it's Laughlin or Laughlin. I should know since I worked
Laughlin,
with her. Laughlin,
yeah.
Laura, I should know because I worked with her very briefly. But my first official acting role in L.A. when I moved here almost 10 years ago was 90210, and she was series regular on that reboot, right? So I
remember that.
I
show.
had grown up watching Full House, so I was a huge fan, and so I had asked somebody if I could take a picture with her, and she just went out of her. She was the nicest celebrity I'd ever met in my life. So when I saw this, I was like, I don't know, I wasn't there. I can't comment on who did what or who said what, but
right.
If it's true, and I was disappointed, because I'm like, dang.
Yeah, does it make her a bad person? I don't know all the details. I watched Inside Edition to get caught up on really hard hitting news. But I tried to figure out a little bit. Of the overall highlights of it all. I don't know. I don't care about, maybe it's because I don't care about her or Felicity Huffman that much to be that affected. It really doesn't I don't know. It doesn't shock me. Nothing shocks me anymore. I think that maybe that's just where I am in news. I don't know. Art, how do you feel about this?
I always told my brother Ashton, I was like, brother, you have your view because you're American, right? I have a different view, so I can judge from both sides, from European side and American side. It's not surprising me anymore as well, like you're saying, but all these college scandals, there is always something that we don't know. It's something that we don't talk about, but we kind of know, right?
Yeah.
If you want to put your kid through the better kindergarten, the better school, the better college, there are ways. There are people who takes money, you can bribe people. It's all about who you know. But it's not so right in your face like in Europe, right? In Europe, it's kind of hey, did you took this money to put this kid? Yes, I did. So what? So people it's normal. But in America, it's not normal, but it's happening time to time. You can see in the news stuff like that.
There was even a storyline on Desperate Housewives that Felicity Huffman played getting her kids into a private school with bribery.
I just read I can't verify it, but I read that there was a storyline in Full House too, several years back.
Oh, really?
That Lori Loughlin's character was in a school scandal. So I don't know the episode or whatever. I just read that somewhere, but it's funny.
It's interesting.
Well, I wanted to cover the fallout basically and how this affects their careers in Hollywood. There's an article over on CNN. It says it's entitled "Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman may initially have a rough road in Hollywood after cheating scheme," and it questions if their careers can recover. Lori was basically the face of Hallmark Network. they've severed ties with her. She's not going to be on season 5 of Fuller House. Who cares? Like, I mean, I really don't care for like her career because these people, they have so much money. I mean, how can you really hurt them? And even when you have someone that's like an influencer, like her daughter, what's her name, Olivia Jade or whatever, she's an influencer. Now, yes, she was dropped by Tresemme and Sephora, but the bottom line is she has those followers on Instagram and the Twitter. So, I mean, that's basically the currency. I've been talking about this on this show a lot. Basically, that's all the currency you need is a subscriber count, a YouTube following, a follower number that is of a certain stature, and you really can't kill these people because they're brands. I don't know. Are these people done, or is it like a 5-minute thing, and this time next year they'll be lighting up Hollywood?
I think it really depends on how they handle it and if they own up to it or not. I think that's the big question about a lot of this stuff, especially a lot of people are saying this about the Jussie Smollett case, So I went to Lori's Instagram a few days ago because I had tagged her months ago in one of the photos I took, like a flashback photo from when I met her, and it's gone. It's either deleted or just suspended or whatever. She took it down temporarily, but there's no Instagram anymore. Like, it's completely gone. So I would assume that has to do with the expected backlash she would want to get, right?
Yeah.
So I think you do damage that brand as well when you do stuff like that, and so it's hard to say the long-lasting effects, but it's certainly going to be a hard recovery, I would expect.
As we all know, look, like it used to be opinion that there are people that's untouchable, right? You cannot sue them, you cannot do anything. But look at this. The biggest star, like Kevin Spacey, right? Making so much money, was such an untouchable guy. And where is Kevin Spacey right now?
Yeah.
He's gone. So it means you can hurt people, right? If, your brand is hurt and people don't want to hire you. So... yeah.
Well, Felicity Huffman also off social media, for whatever that means. The other one got just cut from her shows, and this one just quit Twitter. But okay.
Wow.
There are 40 other people guilty of this. Of course, these are the faces of this scandal. But there's an angry mother whose son got rejected from those schools, those highfalutin schools, and she is now, quote, seeking no less than $500 billion in damages.
I saw something about that soon.
So, here come the crazies, after to pick up the pieces of the mess. Good luck to her.
Yeah.
No less. Wouldn't it be nice to have such a scandal?
Gotta
It's such
appreciate
a
the gumption,
standard,
Totally. Gotta appreciate the gumption, I guess.
Yeah. Now, I don't believe you guys watch Real Housewives of New York. Is this a fair statement?
I can speak for myself, yes.
I'll attribute it to my limited time and editing, but yes, I'm not unfamiliar, unfortunately.
Look, we're still getting the point of view and the rants here on the podcast, so I want to know what you think of these different scandals. So, here we go again. Dorinda and Luann, these are two housewives. They've been locked in a 7-month-long feud. Now, Luann is a cabaret star. She was in jail. She had a DUI in Palm Beach, Florida, on New Year's, right before Christmas Eve of 2017. So now Luann criticized Dorinda's drinking. Again, after this history that she has with alcohol herself, Dorinda does definitely overdrink. But, of course, Dorinda wasn't going to take this, criticism from someone with this past.
Right.
So, there was a clam bake in the Hamptons, as one does, and a text was sent. The text says, this comes from Dorinda to Luann. The text says, quote, "When you haven't forgiven those who have hurt you, you turn your back against your future. When you do forgive, you start walking forward." End of quote. Attributed to Tyler Perry from O Magazine in 2006. So this is like quite a big thing on the show because it's like, it wasn't Gandhi, it wasn't Oprah herself. It was like a Tyler Perry quote when he spoke to O Magazine about his abusive father. Mm-hmm. So, what would you do in this scenario? What do you think of this as a response to mend fences? Weak?
Very defensive. It's I don't know. Can I say sucker punch?
Yeah, it's an odd choice. You know what I mean? Like, why him? And doesn't really show any contrition. It's is it more of a slap in the face? That's the question around it. It's very just picked out of the sky, an obscure quote to pull. John Oliver said on What Happens Live that he thinks it's an A+ passive aggression. So, okay. So the Real Housewives, there's basically, I enjoy a lot of them. New York Housewives, off to a very slow start for me this season. I'll tell the listener, it feels like basically no time has passed in between seasons. Typically these shows, they get maybe 3 months in between each season, so they kind of have a reset, and then they like add and subtract housewives and play around with the contracts and all that. This one they picked right up after the reunion, right into the new show. So in the new season, it's kind of like I needed a little bit of a reset. So I'm struggling with the show a little bit this year. There's other things, other takes I want to get from you guys here, talking about how you would handle things if you were on the Real Housewives of New York. So Dorinda helped Luann, the cabaret star, get free outfits for her cabaret. And Luann never thanked Dorinda for this. Instead, she snubbed Dorinda's boyfriend from attending the opening night of the show. So Dorinda then proceeded to heckle and yell the name of the designer, which is Giovanni in this case. And so now Luann is not speaking to Dorinda over this heckling. Who's right and who's wrong?
Sounds like they both need some time apart from each other, maybe.
I was actually about to say, I used to be a professional basketball player, like almost made it to Olympics and stuff. And I know myself when I spend too much time practices with the same people, doing everything from living in a hotel, going to have a drink, going to the birthday party. And when the season is over, you literally want to kill each of them, right?
Yeah.
But then 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 1 month, not seeing each other, not practicing together, you start missing them people because it's your family. Mm-hmm. And that's when you said that they got back so fast and really quick after the previous season. Yeah. Maybe there is still, tension going on.
Yeah, I think so for sure.
But I think if you get something, somebody gonna give you something in a good intent, you at least should acknowledge that and say thank you. Regardless of your past or whatever you do, it's still a nice thing to do when somebody's, care about you.
Yeah, it was too passive-aggressive for me that she didn't invite the boyfriend. You know what I mean? Like, she invited everyone else's spouse and husband excluding him.
Yeah.
Let's move on to, I want to talk about a musical. Now, anyone that listens to the show know that I'm a Britney stan, huge fan of Britney. So there's this musical coming out. Now, I don't know how I feel about the musical. We're going to get into it. I'm happy there is there's a project that is a musical. Now, I have a few notes is what I'm saying. Let's just, the concept is a little much.
Let's do it.
It's called, first of all, I can never remember it, so it's not memorable, so it's not going to make, for, good marketing or a t-shirt or something. It's called Once Upon a One More Time, which just my brain, when I say that, doesn't track.
It's confusing
for me. Yeah.
I already forgot it.
Yeah. I remember when I wrote it, I had my finger on the screen and I was following along like I was in 5th grade because I was my brain doesn't accept this grammar. But it's about fairy tale princesses discovering feminism through literature, and it's all to a Britney soundtrack. I'm all for the music. But I don't know if I'm buying into this concept of they're having a fairy godmother drop in from the rafters of the theater to deliver this book about feminism. I guess I don't know. That would have been my first choice. What do you think of this?
Is she in it, Britney?
No, just her music.
Okay,
only music. Okay, that was my question. I was like,
yeah.
That's what she's doing.
Yeah, she's not doing anything at the moment, which is driving me crazy.
I think it could be good. I'm open to give it a chance.
It's available to watch this fall. So it's replacing the gap left by this Michael Jackson musical. Now, I've talked a lot about Leaving Neverland on the show, my thoughts around Michael Jackson's guilt. And let me say that again. This, for whatever reason, the show got moved from the Chicago run. It's not uncommon in Broadway to start off. And then to move to the big stage. So this was going to be like a rollout. Now, the show is going to open in New York. I don't know if it's going to be on Broadway, off Broadway. Talk about the MJ show. They say it's not going to follow her anything like in her life, but it's going to be a story built around her music. A jukebox musical I had seen was the Cher show in New York, which I actually enjoyed. So I'm kind of curious. I'm curious to see how this is going to go.
Well, I'm pretty sure a lot of local people who live close by, they definitely probably going to go and watch it. But you're right about that. It's just like the title itself. It's already mind blowing.
Once
right?
Upon a One More Time.
Yeah.
Look at
Is that what it was?
Yeah, you got it. You learned it quicker than I did.
It was difficult.
Yeah. I mean, I feel bad as a super fan to not say that I would go, but I've never been to Chicago. I don't have anything that would really bring me there. So I don't know. I think I'll just wait for it to come out in New York, and it better.
Yeah.
You know, if not, I'll be pissed that I missed it.
Or check out the reviews, as it starts, right?
Yeah. She says it's a dream come true, so she's behind it. It's not like some unauthorized thing. So
I was just about to ask, how much is involved? Of course, everything that's happening on your behalf, and you're such a big name involved, it has to be confirmed with Britney, right? And if that's what's happening...
But who knows how much she's actually involved?
Yeah.
They could just have her name on it for the sake of marketing. And she has
that's what I think,
That could be...
Just to make extra bucks.
They've attached some really high profile choreographers and musicians. So they're investing in it. It's not going to be some small thing, which is good to know. But yeah, I don't know how involved she would be, but I'm happy for her nonetheless. And I would like to see a bio musical of her. When we come back, I'm going to be talking with these guys more about their YouTube channel, their business, and a few tips. Maybe we can learn a few things. Stick around.
You're listening to Grant's Rants. Subscribe and spread the word. There are a lot more rants to come. Listen anytime on all major podcasting platforms. And now, back to the show.
Let's talk about Trilogy Media.
Trilogy Media? What is that? Who's Trilogy Media?
Sounds cool.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. I don't know. What did you find about Trilogy Media?
I found a lot of views. Is what I found on YouTube.
Oh,
that's good to know.
Shocking.
I want to ask from a perspective of just being a creator, going from posting that first video and growing your subscriber base to now having a publicist and going on these different platforms and television shows. I mean, how is that process? How do you get to where you are, literally today, flying in from New York and all this stuff? What is that process like to grow this brand and to grow yourselves and to get these resources?
Well, a lot of it's we were talking before we went, we recorded about having that partnership, which is for us is a huge part of it. And I think that having more than one cook in the kitchen could sometimes be a terrible thing depending on the people, but it could also be the best thing you ever asked for. And in the case of us, we're opposite people, which oftentimes makes us have different perspectives on things, but we find that balance in between almost every single time. And it really is just persistence, like I said before, when it initially started, it was just this gimmick, right? I did a funny scam call. That's all it was, and so to find a way to turn that into a platform where we could be who we are and create content for people took some time. So we made more scams. I did a couple more just me, and then we did a couple more where he was in it for a minute, and then we just slowly started integrating him into it to where it was both of us, and then we started making games out of it instead of just talking to them, right? So we would do games where we would use movie quotes, or we would use like a list, like a mystery list, of random topics to incorporate, word sneak. We call it scammer grammar, but word sneak or whatever, So it was just a matter of thinking, always trying to think 6 months ahead of where we want this to be in realistically, and what are the steps we need to take to get there. Being persistent, not giving up, being consistent with how often we upload, and just riding the wave. That's really
I told Ashton, I was like, you know what? My great example of two friends who came to Hollywood and conquered that Hollywood and got the Oscars. It's Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. And I was like, brother, so we made that wish. Back in the days, I was living on Melrose and Larchmont, right? So Paramount Studio was literally you can speed on a parking lot of Paramount. So, people we just 3 years ago we started living together so we can be more productive, right? But back in the days we were living separate. So he would come to my apartment. We will go on the rooftop, right, with a view of Paramount. And, we will drink a little bit. So we will write our scripts and stuff. And we made each other promise. I was like, brother, if they made it, two friends, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, I was like, what's wrong with us?
Right.
And that's exactly it. It's just never give up on each other. We have the same vision, the same drive, the same ambitions, the same dream, and we're just pushing each other, going as much as we can, as far as we can.
I want to give the listener a taste of what to expect when you subscribe to their YouTube channel.
Yes, please.
With the IRS, we never encourage you to hire somebody else and file your taxes. It's your own responsibility to take care of the situation.
But the thing is, I'm just the guy behind the scenes. He's the one doing the job. I mean, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. That man behind the curtain is me, the tax filer, but he's the CPA, supposedly. He's the one that's supposed to take care of it. So I can focus my time on making sure that my image is kept up, because I wake up every morning, I say, magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
So there's an idea of what you'll get.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
But it's lighthearted, I mean, you're not calling up these guys and swearing at them and threatening them. I mean,
sometimes. I'll be honest.
I mean, they're threatening you.
But they have to ask for it. A lot. And we have literally hundreds of scam busting videos on the channel now, and we have found every scammer from the nicest guy in the world to the most vile human being creature you can possibly imagine. So, of course, we only go off on them when it's warranted, I believe. But sometimes it is. But in the case of this one, that particular clip you played, if you listen to that whole video, that guy actually was a rare exception where he was one of those that you can tell doesn't really belong there. You can tell he's a good person, maybe just caught up with the wrong people, really young guy. And that particular scammer that you just played actually plays out into a much longer story on our channel. After he became reformed and everything.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes it's not the case. Sometimes they just want to, insult your mother and call it good. And you either have to retaliate or hang up. And so we just play it out as long as we can and sometimes get some good laughs and, go on to the next one.
And I truly believe that people deserve a second chance. And that's exactly what Ashton been saying. This kid ended up being, he was like, guys, I live in a really small village, not a lot of jobs to do. And he was like, I would love to quit, but if I quit, it's not going to be any food on the table. So we made him quit. We paid for his apartment. We moved him from one city and his family to another city, which is 12 hours away from when the call center, fake calls, IRS center was located. And we started a GoFundMe through all our YouTube channels, subscribers. And we basically, his dream is to have his own printing company, his legit business that all his family, 5 siblings can work in that and making it, like a true living. And that's, like Ashton said, it's one of those few people who's like, guys, I'm doing it because I have to provide for my family. It doesn't mean that I'm bad, but I need help.
You never think of who's really on the other end of those calls and why they're doing it.
And why they're doing it.
I always just assume they're just scum of the earth people.
And some of them are.
And now I'm learning, don't judge a book so easily.
Yeah,
interesting. I just never thought of it because it's just an annoyance. It's like a fly in your face. But if you really think about the purpose and, with some of these people, not all, but
And we usually ask, like, how do you sleep at night? You scam so many innocent people. Some people are rich. Okay, maybe they're not going to feel that $500 or $2,000. But that's, for some people, it's a whole saving account.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to pay for apartment. They're going to end up being... there is a little bit statistic I was reading that there are actually accidents of people who, when they get scammed, they commit suicide. Because that's it.
Yeah. They lose everything.
Yeah, they lose everything.
And their pride. I mean, they've been duped. Yeah. It's too bad. It's awful. It's terrible. Tell me about getting started.
So this call thing kind of just literally fell in our lap because I was getting all of those robocalls. You get those for those that don't know, you get the recorded robocall voicemail to your phone saying, you're going to be arrested, you owe taxes, call us back now to fix it or you're going to prison. So I was getting, and I already obviously known it was a scam, but I was the frequency of these calls were picking up. I was getting like dozens every day. It was getting so irritating. So I knew, okay, well, there's one of two ways I can handle this. I can either try to put my number on the do not call list and try it the traditional way, which probably won't work, or maybe I answer one and mess with the guy and see what happens. If I give him a hard time, maybe they'll stop calling me. But I was not expecting anything. I decided to do that, of course, but I was not expecting anything to the point where I didn't even tell him that I was going to do it. Answered the call. I decided to film it because you never know. And so I'm glad I did that. But I was thinking, my intent of that was like, well, maybe I'll have him on the phone for like 3 minutes, right? If something funny happens, I'll post it on Facebook. Friends will laugh. That's it. That's the only thing I meant out of this. Well, the first call I answered was the one in that viral video. I had him on the phone for over 45 minutes. The guy got so mad that I wasted his time that he went on this crazy like terrorist rant at the end of it, like taking credit for 9/11, saying I'm going to kill Americans, I'm going to do like just absolutely off the wall insane. And got off the call and I was like shaking. I was not expecting that at all, and I had never talked to a scammer before, so I didn't know quite how to handle this. So after a period of sitting on it for a couple of weeks, I played around with the edit because I edit, so I was able to kind of like at least form it 46 minutes down into like maybe 5 minutes. That would be entertaining. And over the course of talking to different licensors and kind of educating myself on how it works, the video blew up. Like I got over to now it's been viewed over 250 million times.
So you said you had a strategy in the release of that video?
Well, I developed one after it was filmed. So I Googled what to do with viral videos, right? So and what I kept seeing was like, licensors, like viral video licensors. And the big one I kept seeing pop up was one called Storyful. So it's a company that basically takes viral videos, they monetize it for you, and they blast it all over, because we didn't have a YouTube channel, so we didn't really have anywhere to put it.
Right.
So it was their job is to monetize it, and then they give you your cut, obviously. So I researched them, and actually the first thing I did was send them that video. I just sent it because I sent it like on their online submission form or whatever. I was like, hey, this just happened. I cut this down. This might be a waste of your time, but if you're interested, tell me what to do. So I sent it in, and then I got a phone call like 20 minutes later from a very excited Irishman, because it's based in their company's based in Dublin.
In Dublin. Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, this video is amazing. We need to get this up immediately. Here's how it works. So talked to him for a while, and I researched other companies too to kind of compare the terms and stuff. But I felt the best about Storyful, so I went with them, gave it to them, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe they'll post it. Maybe it'll get like 1 million views over like a year, right? But no, they posted it maybe a week later because they had to like package it or whatever they had to do, and like the first time I saw it, it already had like 80,000 views, and that was like from like a couple hours ago. And then I refreshed it later, it had like 250,000 views. Basically had 1 million by the next morning.
Yeah.
And then it just kept going and going, and then they put it on every other platform that they're affiliated with. And so up to now, combined, it's been viewed over 250 million times.
That's true.
And
Wow.
I was crapping myself, for lack of a better word. But it wasn't even an immediate like light, though, because when this happened, like that video went up, and it built up views over several weeks. But we didn't. It's not like we would just like hit the ground running with a YouTube channel. It's like we opened a channel just to kind of have a place to upload that video and have them monetize it. But it took us some time to figure out, like, okay, well, yeah, this is great. I had this massive, crazy, amazing scam call video. I'm not going to be able to recreate this again. Like, how are we going to turn this into a platform?
Now what? Yeah.
So we didn't really do anything with that other than like some publicity. We're getting a lot of like mentions and articles and stuff, but we didn't like continue that ball for maybe another 4 months. I ended up making a second video because I was still getting calls. Actually, I didn't get a call for a while, but I started getting them again. So I made a second video, and it wasn't the same. It wasn't like but it was still funny. And it was like, well, this one time it was more, instead of the shock value of the guy going crazy, it was more about like the creative ways I was finding of just like spinning the conversation.
Yeah, and wasting their time, which is the best part.
Which is the whole point. And so I gave that to Storyful again. I'm like, hey, I know this was different. I did another one if you're interested. And they're like, yeah, it's great. Like, let's take it. And they did it. And it didn't get like 250 million, but it's still like over the course of like a week got like a few more million views. And it just started to build up a little bit of attraction. And so from that point, it was about how do we turn this into a gimmicky, like scam call thing that I did once or twice into a platform where him and I could be personalities and do this consistently together. And that's what we did over the next 6 months, was develop more ways of doing it creatively. And
he approached me and he was like, brother, well, listen, we've been looking for that concept. I think this is gold, but we need to find a way. And plus, when we did our research, we found out that America is it's #1 country in the world to get scammed. And he was like, it's the ground is, this guy has no limit.
Yeah.
He was like, look, there is scam. Every single corner, people trying to take advantage of each other. Let's be Robin Hood. Let's stood up for the community. Let's show people how the scam works, educate them, and be us, being that impractical jokers, with our own ways.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, I don't know how, but let's do it.
So it was about summer of 2017 when we decided to really like
shot a pilot.
Actually, with the channel, more just to actually like make videos regularly. So it's been over a year and a half now, and look what's happened. So now we do this all the time, and it's just like commonplace for us. But it's just,
I discovered it because I heavily, and I talk about other shows, rely on YouTube recommendation videos, and I don't remember when I was watching that would prompt this, but it was like I was curious to see what happens when you stay on the phone with these people and when you lead them down the path, and then that's what got me into all this. That's how I discovered your channel. So it was that curiosity, because that's one thing. Yes, here in America we all get those calls, and my parents, they get calls all day long, and they only answer the ones that they see on the caller ID. And I tell them, like, pick up and then get off those lists, or or go through the prompts and then get them to give up on you. It's because like they just keep selling the number over and over, and so now it's like they get the 12 calls a day. I'm trying to like give them advice on how to get rid of that. I mean, do you have any?
Well, shameless shout out to an app called RoboKiller. It's a fantastic app, and they're not telling us to say this right now. We do truly believe in this app. They have sponsored a lot of videos on our channel, and it's a legit app I use on my personal cell phone as well. But basically intercepts any call that is already registered to be a telemarketer, a scammer, anything fraudulent. It answers the call for you, so it doesn't ring on your phone, and then it plays a pre-recorded answer bot to waste their time for you, and then you can listen to it back. And we actually make those answer bots in the app. So if you download the app, you'll get our voice in your phone, which is pretty cool. It's
cool.
effective.
Yeah.
If it's a mobile phone you're referring to, not a house phone, it's effective, and I use it personally.
So it's only for mobile.
It's a cell phone app.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, it's true.
But it's fantastic. But I mean, as general rules, just look out for anything. Of course, anytime anyone's asking you to pay them via anything like Western Union or MoneyGram, that's obviously fraudulent.
Gift cards.
Look out for numbers that, even if they're in your area code, if they're similar to your number, they're really good at spoofing numbers now.
Oh,
and
yeah.
just calling.
Yeah.
They'll just change their number. Even when we track down scammer numbers, like we'll see a number that was active an hour ago and now it's shut down. It's like we have to be on it quick because there's so many of them. So just be on the
I get phone calls from my telephone number, but with one number switch.
Yeah, that's big. That's another one.
Yeah.
Most of the scams, at least the IRS and the Microsoft refund scam, a lot of those tech support scams, most of them come in from robocalls that are automated. So you're not actually answering to a scammer. You're getting a voicemail, and then you have to call it back. So what we do is we track down numbers that are active to call back, and you can get those in. You can get those in forums. They're all over. And now, since we have a following, we have people sending them to us hourly. So we have a library of numbers at any given time to use. So that's what we do. And then as far as calling them, we do have a burner phone, but we also use an app called Spoof Card, which is allowing us we can make our number be anything we want. So we can call them and they don't know who's calling. We can make our number be anything. And typically what we do is we pick a different scam number and make that our caller ID. So if they call back, they're going to get another scam. So that's what we do. So
the beauty is, you don't have an accent, right? So if I just talk to the scammer and we're calling the same number, so we're switching, right? Then he was like, hey, I got this pop-up, so can you help me?
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, so he's trying to scam, apply the same strategy on him, and that's why we can get more footage and more time to waste. But also you have to remember that one more thing, the number one scam category in America, it's elderly people, because it's so easy to scare them, and it's to fool them.
My grandparents get them all the time. They know now, but it's very scary.
Absolutely. And that's why we will give one more tip to people, elderly people. It's if somebody trying to force you, rush you to do something, or like you have a warrant, if you feel like something is like really
you're being
pressured, just hang up the phone and call anybody in your family and share that information, because that's what they're counting, scare you and like, hey, I need your money right now. Police is coming. The warrant is already signed. Give me your $3,000.
Yeah.
And that's what they do.
The urgency, the fake urgency.
Exactly. Fake urgency. It's crazy.
Where can we support you guys? I know you're on YouTube, obviously, but how can people find you? Anything you want to promote additionally?
Well, YouTube channel is the home base of what we're doing. So as you mentioned, we're filmmakers as well. We always got a bunch of stuff going on. But right now and for forever, our home base will be our YouTube channel. That's where it started. That's where we're growing everything. So definitely youtube.com/Trilogy Media. Subscribe. We put up videos every week. We live stream every week. Always new stuff going on. We got hundreds of videos on there. Beyond that, you can find us on the socials where we're posting updates and stuff. But definitely, I'd say start with YouTube. That's where we post every video we do. We have community posts about what's coming up next and merch and all that good stuff. So, absolutely. YouTube.com/Trilogy Media is where it's happening.
All right, guys. Well, thank you. We'll have to follow you guys as well on, is it at Trilogy Media?
Trilogy Media.
Instagram, it's at Trilogy Media Inc. Facebook, it's at Trilogy Media Inc. And,
That's it.
That's it. That's it.
All right.
Yeah, and then YouTube is just Trilogy Media. Trilogy Media.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you
so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Cheers.
This has been Grant's Rants. Support the Rants on Patreon at patreon.com/Grant's Rants. Follow Grant on Twitter and Instagram at It's Grant's Rants. Cover art created by RHONY. Voiceover by Original theme music by Alexander Arntzen. The Grant Michael Collection.